Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another layout update video. This is layout update number 4. The last update that we had was, I think, December 18th. I just watched it to kind of catch up, see what I was talking about in that video, and then see what's changed and what I've been working on. I've been really busy since December, and we're going to go around the layout here, and I'm going to show you all the stuff that I've done, and just give you an update. That's why we call it an update. All right, let's spin around and take a look. All right, guys, so this is the, I don't have it cleaned up this time. Last time I had it cleaned up real nice for you, but I wasn't working on anything really intense. Here, like I said, the past 2 months, I've been like super into making stuff. So I've got everything on the lower shelf now, like it said in my other videos. That's pretty much my workbench. Eventually, that'll be Cumberland yard, or that's what I'm going to call it. But that's going to be like my main yard down here. Right now, it's my main workbench, and this is where I get all my shit done. Anyways, we was talking about the last update video we did. I was talking about the bridges, how we got those in and secured, painted, wired in, and all those were good. And then we was going to work on an industry over here on this shelf. And this is now, I don't know if I'd mentioned it yet or not, this is now called South Fork. South Fork, Pennsylvania was kind of the inspiration for this shelf. These industries really don't exist in South Fork. The track layout isn't prototypical. The entire layout is not prototypical. It's freelanced, or what they call protolanced. I look at the real world and I get as much information as I can, and then use that as inspiration to build a realistic type railroad. So those that just happen to be jumping in and you don't know what's going on, well, maybe you should go watch video number 1. But that's what we're doing anyways. We got the lumberyard in, and I've got some pictures that I'll probably post at the end of this video, because I'm not sure how the camera's going to pick this up, because I do got some subtle weathering in there and stuff like that. But we've got, this was a long process. I started into Christmas time. At Christmas time, I got 2 buildings. One that I turned into this part, and then a second one that I've turned into this one. And I'll talk about this one here in just a minute. But I went ahead and built those. And I'm following a plan out of Model Railroad Magazine by Thomas Klimowski. And he's helped me a lot, emailing back and forth pictures and stuff like that. He's got one just like this. This is actually his design, but it fit in here so perfect, and it was great for a first-time build. So that's why this is here. His just isn't named Keystone Building Supply. But anyway, so I followed his design, and everything came out perfect. I got everything painted and lightly weathered. And then I put the concrete down, and basically I went to Home Depot, I think it was, and I had to get, if you see, I've got my tracks, they go from the main lines, are higher than the side lines, or, your spurs and your industries and stuff like that are usually lower. So on my layout, I go straight to the foam. You can see back here, the 2 box cars are sitting temporarily on the foam, but if you look up here at the switch, it's sitting on the cork. Those that are wondering, this is HO scale. So anyway, so the 2 main lines are sitting on the roadbed, and then anything that drops off of the roadbed will taper down and then go flat. Like I said, that's just kind of how they do it in the real world on most branches and industries and stuff like that. From what I've seen. Doesn't always have to be like that, but I think it just looks better. It's either that, or it drops from a heavier gauge rail to a lighter gauge rail. From like some people go from an 83 to a 70, or N scale they're going 70 to 55 or something like that, just to give that illusion that it's going to a lighter type rail that doesn't have as much heavy traffic on it as a main line. So anyways, this is how I simulate it. So once this is flat on the foam, then I have to bring the concrete up to the top of the rails, or just shy of the rails is what I did. That way I can still run a piece of abrasive, it's called a Bright Boy, across the top and clean this. This is still a little dirty. I might need to do that here shortly. But anyways, so I left it just shy of the top of the rails. That way I could clean it. But this material was 1/16, And then I've got underneath that, I think it's hardboard. I can't remember what I use now. All right, I had to think what I did. The material on the bottom is the stuff that I bought from Home Depot, and that's 1/16 of an inch. That's the material on the bottom. And then the material on the top is 0.02 styrene, I believe. And that brings it just shy of the rails. Now this piece in the middle, this is the actual 1/16 stuff that's down here on the bottom. I did in between, and that is perfect. And it brings me, I think, almost right to the top or right at the top. It's really, really close. But that stuff worked out really good. So I went ahead and put all that down, just spray painted it gray. I've been, working the building in, and then worked on the little lumber racks here, and those were a super pain in the ass. I started with 10, and I ended up with 4 or 5 that actually survived the builds, just because they're super fragile, and they're really, really finicky. But I've got 5 of them, 5 right now, and maybe 2 more that I might be able to salvage if I feel like I need some more. But anyways, I did those, and then I've spent the past couple weeks working on the fencing, and the fencing is super, super pain in the ass. The front fence here, this is my first run. I'm going to redo this. You can see the kind of like the splotches and stuff that, where the glue kind of oozed out, and then the paint picked it up, and I'm not really happy with it. But I put it on here just for the video and also for the pictures. But this is going to go ahead and run out here. And so once I learned kind of like how to do this and I got better at it, then I did this one over here on this side, and then the one right back there, and then the little small one, and then the gate, and then another little gate here. Now this runs all the way through the layout underneath, and I can grab it and you can see it kind of moving, but right now I've got a little piece of piano wire holding it open for the train. But that'll connect to like a little gear where I can put out here on the front like Thomas has done, and you can actually turn a little knob or something here, and it'll connect to that wire back there, and the gate will actually swing open and closed. I've got some pieces coming for that. They're little Lego connectors and stuff like that. It's not major that I get that done anytime soon. Getting this done was, kind of the big part, the main goal for the last 2 months. The little add-on, that's, I'll get that when I get it. But that's what it's going to do. Then you'll be able to open and close the gate, manually from the front of the fascia. I've got to redo the fence. I just redid this part of the building. It did come out right to the edge of the fence. Now, originally, this is what it was supposed to look like. It was supposed to be this size, but I kind of fudged it up in the beginning, and it ended up being longer. I think there's actually a little, there's right there you can see where the edge of the building was, and then the stairs, and it came right up next to the fencing, and it was pretty cramped, but I was like, well, that should work. But I did go ahead and I decided I wanted to redo that building, so I ordered another kit, and I just cut that down today, and I reused the end piece and the top, and I just cut those down, so that way it's narrower, and I get more room right here behind the tracks. And then that opens this up so that I can take probably these 2 sections, maybe these 3 sections out. I'm not really sure yet. It'll adjust. But I'm going to have a road that crosses right here. Thomas has one on his too, which is pretty cool. Now, I won't be able to do a swing gate here. I'll probably have to do a slide gate of some sort. So it'll probably just be glued open permanently once I get it done. I'll just build the gate and then glue it to the back side, here or something like that, just, so you can see that it's open. But that way, cars can actually go off this way to a parking lot. They can also park up front. And then I also have some parking over here. This was originally going to be the parking lot over here. And then the cars were going to come basically from the background into this area. But, like I said, things kind of changed. I decided this looked a little too cramped down here. So I went ahead and I redid that. I just painted this white. I got to paint the tan color to it. And just kind of touch it up a little bit, and then that's finished. The bricks I've got to paint yet. I need to widen the yellow striping. It's just a little too narrow, and then that's completed. And then I can work on the ballast coming up here. You see I've got some rust color on the rails. Not sure if I'm happy with that, if I want to do it that color, or if I like it this darker color. I'm still trying to decide what I like. But anyways, that's the lumber building supply company is done. Oh, I've got the background. I don't think I had that last time. I don't believe I did. I printed that out on the computer, one piece at a time. This is, just regular computer paper. So like, here's a seam, here's a seam, here's a seam. And it was kind of sticking a little bit better, but it was just kind of get an idea of, how the background was going to look. I'm going to be modeling it in the fall time, early fall, mid-fall. So the color is going to be completely damn different. But I just wanted to get something up just to kind of get a visual how things were going to look. And this is the Kinzu Bridge. And this is like current era, like modern era. After the tornado hit it in Pennsylvania. Yes, a tornado in Pennsylvania. And you can see the remainder of the bridge here, and it collapsed the middle of it. But I just thought that looked really cool, and because I'm doing Pennsylvania, and I grew up like 40 minutes from Kinzu Bridge, I thought it would be kind of neat to try to get that to work into the picture. So I've got some other pictures that I'm working with in Photoshop that I'm going to try to change the coloring on it and make it a fall color. And then I'll probably hide a lot of it with trees and stuff like that. But again, it's nothing critical because nothing back here is glued. I can lift all this out and then work on the background, as needed. The second industry was a really simple build. Took me just a couple days to do it. And this one is going to be international paper, I believe is what I decided on. So basically they're going to take big rolls of paper from the boxcars, and they'll distribute to local companies that, like newspapers and stuff like that, like big, places basically that print a lot of publications, because it's based in the 80s, so they didn't have computers, internet, stuff like that. So the second biggest form of communication, TV being the first, was newspapers, magazines, anything, on paper. So I think that, that fits in really good here. Didn't know what else to make it, so I thought that was a good idea. And I did some really, really nice weathering on that. Again, I've got no weathering experience whatsoever, but I still think that turned out really good. I even did the top piece. I put some glue on it and some N scale ballast, and then painted it black, and then did some chalk weathering on the top. So that turned out really good. It's going to have, if I can get my camera over here, it's going to come off here straight in front like it is now. And then I had a secondary line that comes out here. So I'll have another switch back here. Again, just for, I think it'll be better than switching out here on the branch line. I'll be able to back in and then drop one car and then feed one back here. It'll just give me more switching options here at the paper mill, paper plant, paper distribution center. But I'm not 100% sure yet. But again, if I do, I'll cut this back here and then I'll taper that down, which is a little iffy to do on the turnouts. But I feel confident enough I can handle that. I did get in my switch stands. Well, a switch stand. And I think it looks really good. These are actually made to have a bar here that actually connects to this and throws this. So you can actually turn these and it'll actually throw your switch for you back and forth. I took the guts out of it and I shaved it down a little bit and I put it on, the extended rails, and then gave it some weathering. I got to weather the reds and the greens down. I wanted to let that dry a little bit first. And you can see me experimenting with some more colors back here, some, different reds and some powders and stuff like that. So like I said, still haven't really decided on the coloring that I want. And then, so I'll have 7 more, I think 7 or 8 more on the shelf. So everywhere you see these, that's where the switch stands will go. And then I did all the Sculptamold. Basically, it's like a plaster. So I've got my landscaping partially done, partially ready for ground cover up here. I'm going to do a service road. Basically, for the railroad, there's usually a service road that runs like right next to it. So it's pretty smooth. Well, it's smooth. By the time I paint it and then put the fine ballast on top of it and do some weathering, I think it'll look really good. And then I put a crossing in here, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. There'll be a main road that cuts this in half. That goes right across here, I think. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure on this yet. Still kind of throwing some ideas around. I may just run the fence out and just be done with it. That way I don't have to do some kind of a crossing here across the two main lines. I don't know. Still throwing that idea around. But anyways, I got all this done. all the way down to the other side here. A big update video here, guys, 15 minutes. A lot of it's me babbling. So down to here, and I did kind of shape everything for drainage. So you can see there's, whoops, oh, you can't even see my hand, sorry. Everything kind of runs in and then cuts through the stone here at the end. So it looks like the water's been cutting it and, you know, eroding at it. And there's a big cut right here, and there's another one up under here. I've got 2 rocks. Again, I'll post some pictures because I've got the bridges up now and you can't see it. And then right here, you can see, like, you know, the water's run back and then cut into here and runs around this abutment and, you know, runs back in here and then cuts over and then runs down, you know. And I tried to think of, you know, how the water was actually going to cut into the landscape. I didn't just want it flat and then just throw grass and static grass on top of it. I wanted to give it a little bit of interest to it. So that's why I went ahead and just did the sculpted mold. And I'll probably do that on all the shelves, just so I don't have a very flat looking land. I mean, land isn't, you know, cement flat all the way through, so that's why I went ahead and did this. So I've got this ready. The next project after I get the shelf done will probably be the river scene here. So there's going to be a river that's going to cut through here, and then I'll do the landform coming down from each side. I had a little left over, so I just threw it up in there for now. But anyways, there'll be a river scene here, and I'll work on that next, and then kind of blend that into the rock cut here. And then this will be inspired by Sandpatch Grade in Pennsylvania. So there'll be a lot of shelf rock, you know, cut into the side going around. And I might leave it open. You see there's a cutout here, there's a cutout here, and then there's some screws here. And I may only do, you know, sections of it, because I don't know if we're going to be staying here or not, if we're going to get another house or rip this one down and build another one. So I'm kind of building this where I can salvage as much as possible. I should be able to salvage that shelf. I'm probably going to lose part of the middle section here. Because like I said, I don't even know if this will fit in a, you know, another room or how it would fit. But I want to try to save as much as I can. So I might leave this open where I can pull these screws out and then make my cuts. There will be a cut here, and then a cut back here where the abutments are, and then this will all come out in one piece. But anyways, that's here and over there right now. I'm just trying to plan down the road for that, if that should happen. But in the meantime, I still want to model, and I still want to kind of work on my skills. That way, if I do rebuild down the road, you know, hopefully I've learned a lot. Anyways, I've got this tied in now. I didn't have this tied in last time, so I've got a lot of, you know, sculpted mold here, and I sculpted and cut and carved to give it a really nice looking rock face. And again, this is going to tie into the shelf rocks here, and I'll put another piece of cardboard here to kind of just, you know, taper this in. On the back side, you can't see it, but the cardboard rolls up and then rolls back in. And again, is what that is for drainage. So again, water is going to hit here and then drain all the way around. And then, of course, any water that hit up here, you can see where it's cut and kind of washed away, cut around the abutment, you know, cut through here, went down, and then cut and then run along the rock face there. And then I had some left over, and I just tapered it down. This will be mostly flat. This is just going to be a field down through here, nothing special. Probably put some cows and shit there. Again, nothing extraordinary, because I've got to have this, you know, the blinds come down. And I did replace those. The other ones I had were overhung on the outside, and I got some that fit on the inside. They're a lot cleaner, everything's smoother, and the girlfriend's happy. And that's all that matters. Dinosaurs, they're still there. But I got this filled in now, and I got a couple rocks here. This is the first rock that I ever painted back 2 years ago when I first started kind of messing around with the layout. So I got that in here. I don't know if I'll leave it or if I'll repaint it, but I just, you know, it's there. And then I put one here, and then again, you can see the cuts, you know, where the water drains. And, you know, same thing here. And this is just about done as far as the shaping goes on this side. And then I've got to wrap it around and then cover the plate, and then, you know, lightly cut it out so it's not super obvious that, you know, that this is removable. I'm not going to fill this in until probably last, just so I still have access to all this stuff in here until I'm completely, you know, satisfied with the yard and everything's running through the tunnels okay. So it'll probably look like this for quite a while, except for maybe down here. You know, I need to get the fascia down here and just, you know, start getting the landform to kind of form this mountain up. Probably a turntable here, a small one, and some rip tracks for the trains to sit. Top shelf is going to be propane, petroleum, oil, whatever is going to be sitting right across here. I've got 2 or 3 propane cars that are coming in June. I had to pre-order those. You can see the little propane truck back there. He was not cheap. Those are very, very, very hard to find. And you're going to pay for them when you find them. But again, so we're going to have that there. And then originally I was thinking about putting the mine here. I'm thinking now doing like some sort of a tipple or a truck dump loading, and kind of shrink that down a little bit, and then that way I can fit in maybe one more small industry up here. But again, this is down the road, probably late summer, maybe before I even get to the top shelf. I really want to get the middle shelf like 90% complete, with the trees and the grass and all that kind of stuff before I start working around the layout. That way, I don't have to go back to that shelf. It's done, and it gives me an idea of what everything is going to look like when it's finished. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the layout update. I know this is probably one of the longest ones that I've put on this channel, but I've got a lot going on. There's all my ground scatter. You can see my fall colors that I'm going to be using here. My grasses, all my dark browns and my blended mixes. There's all my static grasses here. I've got some actual dirt that I dug up out of the yard here and filtered that down. I'm going to put that down for my my ground cover first. I've got my new scale trains SD40-2 had come in. That's more of like a shelf queen. That one's really highly detailed. I'll run it on occasion, but the main workhorses are going to be this one here. This is a new one. This is a new one here too. I've got another one that was the 9154, I think, in the last video, and that was a patch. It was actually, and I didn't know, that engine was leased to Santa Fe, and Santa Fe run that, and then it was either patched by them or patched when it came back to B&O as 9154, and that's why I had that weird 9 on there that was kind of patched up, and I didn't know that. So that was pretty interesting. So I've got, I don't know, like 9 engines now, but I'm only going to be running a couple on the layout as the main engines. The other ones will just show up as needed. I think that's it. Yeah, I got a mess. The ballast up there. I got my glues, caulks, super glues. I got like 15 different kinds of super glues because super glue pisses me off. I've got my coal cars. I think I talked about them last time. I got those in. I've got some propane cars that I need to build, but I also have some ordered. I've got another tank car here, another one here, and a flat car. So that's pretty much all the rolling stock. I don't plan on adding anything else except maybe some covered hoppers. And then, I do have these, but these are a little modern. These are almost 2000 era, so I'm not quite sure. But I got a truck over there that's I think that's a 2003. So whatever. It's just 1980s is really hard to model. It's hard to find very specific to that era. So if I squeeze a few things up near 2000, I'm okay with that. Just as long as I get the main feel is 1980s, late 80s. But anyways, that's it. I'm done with the update video. Probably going to be a couple more months before I do another one. That way I can get that shelf done. I'll have all the ground cover on it, the trees and all that in the next update video. And I should be working on the river scene. That's kind of the plan as of right now. So end of February, March, April or May. About every 2 months I try to get you an update video. And again, I'll post some pictures at the end if you want to see some some other close-up pictures. Oh, I forgot these. Forgot those. That's my ballast that I'm going to be using. So the top shelf, or the Pennsylvania line, is going to be using this color, and then the bottom is going to be using this. The CSX chassis system is going to be using this color. I think those look really, really good, and those will switch at the bridges. So the gray will be down here because this is all CSX chassis system. And then I haven't decided if I want to run it into up here or switch at the bridge and then go to the darker color and then go up, or do the main line gray. And then because this is the secondary line, the Pennsylvania line here, that'll run and the ballast will switch. Not real crazy. I've seen some layouts that do the the ballast color switching, and I know that's like super prototypical, and I don't know, I'm just not sure I want that. So anyways, but hopefully I've got all that done next time you see this update video. And I appreciate you guys watching. Those that are interested, I appreciate you watching to the end. And again, big shout out to Thomas Klomoski for the help on the Lumberyard. And let's keep rolling forward, and I'll talk to you guys in a few months.